think right now the biggest thing is, we are getting a lot of folks coming from out of state, bringing more like innovative ideas, businesses to Homer. And I would say the biggest change that we've seen is just the perspective from residents, finally accepting that change is okay. And Homer can still be its, the small little great town that it is, but also having more amenities and having that change. So that's the biggest thing I've seen is people's mindset has started to shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I mean, also, I guess everywhere in a small community, you're always going to have some kind of, I'm going to call it a hazing period where you kind of have to, wait a little bit till you become part of the crowd. And,
yes. Yeah. And that is very true for Homer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I kind of came from a small town. I think it was like Hardin, Montana population. I think it was like 500 or something like that. So yeah, really, really small town back in the day. All right, so let me ask you this. We kind of already touched on this, and I think I kind of know the answer already, but what kind of people decide to settle down in Homer?
I mean, I think it's everyone. We have retirees that are coming here to be snowbirds. They're just here for the mild summer, and then they're gone. And then we have young families that, again, like I said, are up here because they can work anywhere. It seems to be everything. I feel like there's something for everyone in Homer. Anyone that enjoys the great outdoors, especially winter sports and fishing. I think that there's a huge, for young families, I think that Homer is an amazing place. We moved here because my husband when he talked about his childhood in Homer, it was just this like magical childhood. He grew up on his grandparents' property, which had been, passed down to his parents, and this huge property that they would just like run through hay fields. And he has all these stories of walking from like the school bus up to the house and like being chased by moose and getting in pushki wars with his brother and siblings. And then even seeing like my nieces and nephews up here. Last winter was our first winter here. I actually drove off of the driveway because I was trying to take a photo of my nieces and nephews sledding down the hayfield. They were just having such an amazing time. And they've been out there for hours. I was driving in the truck paying too much attention to how much fun they were having. But Homer is just that idyllic place to grow up in. I think Valerie can say the same about her childhood here. So I think there are a lot of young families moving in just for that.
I would say, yeah, the demographic that's been moving in has been more, late 20s to mid 40s, opposed to when Homer used to be referred to as a retirement community where folks would live here in the summertime and then snowbird in the wintertime. But we're seeing a lot of those who are snowbirding in Homer, they're in that younger demographic.
Right. And I guess that kind of brings me to my next question here. So is there kind of a high turnover rate of people in Homer, or once they get in there, they're not really going anywhere once they get in? So I know in places like Eagle River, it is like, mostly it's military folks there. So it is just like a revolving door every 3-4 years. It feels like it's a whole new town.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you for our lack of listings right now that there is not much turnover.
Yeah.
But no, Homer is definitely, I would say the average person, if they're not here for the majority of their lifetime, it would be like 10 to 15 years. And a lot of people too, if they decide not to come back to Homer, they hang on to their properties. It's hard for them to sell what they have in Homer.
Right. So do most people in Homer, do they work remotely, or is there like certain industries where a lot of people will work in that?
I would say now, since COVID, a lot of them work remotely. Our industry, our economy, is based solely on tourism. So in the summertime, it's everybody's working, whether it's in hotels, fishing charters, working at the processing plants, all of that. But then come winter time, a majority I would say is folks who work from home.
Yeah, that does make sense. That definitely does make sense. And I imagine, man, how much does the population just shoot up overnight during the summertime?
So right now, within the Homer city limits, we're just under about 6,000, like you had said earlier. Come summertime, that number is closer to 14,000.
Yeah, so that can shoot up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Do most of the restaurants just shut down completely during the wintertime?
Anything on the spit does, except for Land's End, which is in the hotel. Anything on the spit, I mean, they have to shut down because they don't have water out there. They shut off the utilities. It's too hard to, obviously everything out there would freeze. It's all on boardwalks. And in town, a lot of them will stay open, but they will take long breaks. So they typically are, shutting down for 2 or 3 weeks here and there just to get through the winter. But yeah, it's not a consistent, when you visit Homer in the wintertime, nothing is consistent. Everybody is just on wintertime. They are getting up late. They are closing their businesses early. Everybody wants to hibernate, which I think is probably Alaska in general. So
that does sound pretty familiar. Yes.